I'm sitting here with my favorite yoga teacher, Briana Penzarella. Did I say your name right? And I'm so excited to do this episode with you guys today, for you guys today, because as you have already watched some of my videos before, I've been going to yoga and practicing yoga on a daily basis. If not, maybe sometimes you see me like twice a day.
Yeah.
So that's why, even though I think Briana, you and I have just known each other for 2 months, but
Yeah.
it feels like, I don't know, like half a year.
Yeah.
We were talking
Maybe as long
about
as the studios, or as
Yeah.
long as we've met each other.
Yeah, and I'm very excited about this video today because I don't know if you guys already know, but even though I may appear calm, cool, and collected, as a lot of people have told me, I'm actually dealing with anxiety on a regular basis. and I noticed that there's a big shift in me recently, especially over the last few months, when I started practicing yoga, and especially after Briana's class, which is why I want to invite her to this video and introduce her to you guys. But at the same time, I want to ask Briana a lot of questions about how she also managing anxiety, because I don't know if you can see it, she's being wow, wait, how can I zoom this to your face? Here you go. She's pregnant, but she's so calm, cool, and collected. So Briana, is there anything that I missed about introducing yourself to my audience?
No, I'm Briana Penzarella. I'm a native New Yorker, and I've been practicing yoga for over 13 years, as well as teaching for that same amount of time, and developed and learned several different practices to help calm, states of anxiety or anger.
Can I share a fun fact about you, that you used to be an opera singer?
Oh, sure.
Because she has an amazing voice, and I don't know if you guys care about this, but this is something that I care a lot about in yoga classes, is that I really like someone with a good quality voice. And I think that your voice is just so soothing to me, and it does add that effect to calm me down. But I find it such an interesting fun fact about you. And also, if you can see what she has here, what is it, Briana?
So this is a harmonium. It's a devotional instrument that was actually had originated in Paris, and it kind of came along with this idea of wanting to have a traveling piano. Yeah, pianos are huge. You can't travel with a piano. Wherever you're performing, you gotta hope that there's a piano there.
Yeah.
So a lot of instrumentalists were looking for something that they could carry around from gig to gig. Now, it was definitely very much inspired from the instrument, the accordion, which you see people playing. It has keys, and it has like this bellow, just like this one does, where it kind of compresses and extends like a slinky.
Yeah.
So they kind of combined those two ideas into the harmonium, which then got, or I should say, became way more adapted or brought on in India. So now you don't even see it in Paris. They're all over India, and now it's the main instrument for devotional chanting.
Cool. And I think that this also what I find is very unique about your classes, because no one does this in a yoga class. And she does amazing chanting. And do you want to maybe give us a demo of what I usually am privileged enough to get?
Sure. Yeah, and just even though you know, I do this. There are several teachers throughout New York that do this practice. It just depends on where you choose to do yoga.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, you're my first one.
Exactly.
But I'm hooked.
Yeah. Just keep it going.
Whew. It's beautiful. Namaste. I mean, despite all the noise on the street, even just listening to this, now I feel a lot more calm.
Me too, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you mind explaining what the chanting means?
Yeah, so it's a rather I'll wait for that to pass.
Yeah. It happens all the time when I film my
New York.
vlog. It's New York. It's part of life.
We love it.
Maybe they need some chanting.
Yeah, yes, definitely. Mm-hmm. Emergency services
Yeah.
could definitely use some chanting.
Yeah.
So it's quite a mystical practice. Chanting or using your voice is a way of strengthening your heart. So, you know, that could mean a couple different things. You know, when we are going through difficult times,
Yeah.
One of the hardest things to do is
Sounds like my whole
sing,
life,
actually. Yeah. But it's probably the most therapeutic thing to do, as opposed to sitting and dwelling and festering in one's own thoughts, which anxiety is all about. It's just, you're so in the mind.
Yeah.
And you're just thinking about the what ifs, or the possibilities, or the shoulda, coulda, woulda. It's like anything. And there's a lot of stories that fill cloud mind that don't help us in our state of anxiety. It only makes us more anxious because it becomes really crowded, and it's just like all this crazy traffic, right? Kind of like what we're surrounded by. Instead where it's in our head.
Yeah.
So the mantra meditation practice has a way of quieting the mind, because the mind can sometimes take over. And then the heart too has a tendency to follow the mind and get emotional and not think clearly or realistically about situations, and we get caught up in the emotions. We get caught up in the woe is me and in the tears, and there's nothing wrong with crying, but there is a difference, like if you're just going to sit there and feel sorry for yourself, or if you're going to try to work through it. And for me, it's been chanting, because it helps me at least smooth things over within my mind, and helps me to slow down to a point where I can think and respond with more clarity, as opposed to being really reactive or defensive or aggressive, which is where anxiety takes us. And so getting back to, the way it strengthens the heart is that it allows us to express ourselves without having to say, oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. This is what's happening with me. Sometimes there are emotions and things going on within our heart or within our mind that we can't explain, and we're overwhelmed by it and maybe anxious about it.
Can I just ask, because obviously on top of everything else that we are dealing with, you're also pregnant right now. How many weeks are you?
Like 27 weeks.
Right? So, and I know that you still ride the bike to the classes every day. And every time when I meet Briana, she always has such such a zen energy and a big smile on her face, and very patient with all the students in the class. And I don't know how you manage that.
Lots of yoga, lots of chanting. But yeah, I think, the more we stress over things, if we were talking about pregnancy, the more we entertain the thought of, bearing a child or delivering a child or raising a child can bring up anxieties. When it comes to a child, we're all learning. Regardless of who you talk to, every parent was a first-time parent. No one knew what they were doing getting into it. And as far as being pregnant and the whole delivery aspect, that has gone through my mind of oh my goodness, I'm growing a human being inside of me. It's very wild to think about something like that, and for it to be happening, and that you're gonna give birth to this human being one day. And the way that most people experience that is with fear. They are expecting and anticipating an immense amount of pain. When ever since the dawn of time, whatever you believe in, as soon as humans came to be, or even animals, ones that are meant to reproduce, were built this way. It's natural. Our bodies are ready to do something like this, and it's just a matter of trusting that, and not listening to all the extra stories, even though everyone's story is relevant. However, I think we can tune in, and realize that you are human, and I am a woman. This is what women do. We bear children, and we are capable of expanding and stretching in ways that are unimaginable. But it's what our body does. And then it bounces back. And then as far as the bike riding goes, or doing the yoga, that's the most important thing you can do, is to keep moving. keeping yourself strong, not only for yourself, but to carry baby. Like, it's not easy getting around on my bike. Like, I can feel the weight, but I keep doing it, and it only makes it easier for me to carry this extra 30 pounds that's on top of my front body. So,
must be fun.
It's a lot of fun. It's a challenge.
It's another workout on top of yoga. I'm curious. See, I mean, I know that we have the limited space here, but I'm curious if there's any kind of like quick practice or even like breathing technique that you find can be helpful for people who want to calm down the anxiety. Is there any quick technique that you can introduce right now?
Yeah, there's a couple things. Something that's really simple, that's hands-free. We do it all the time in classes, square breathing.
Yeah.
So I'll take us through a quick little couple rounds. Got a couple bugs landed on me here and there.
Perfect test for how patient and calm you are with yoga.
So we'll start by closing our eyes. Start to notice the breath. Even if there's a motorcycle passing by, listen to the breath. Right, just the way that we are so conditioned to entertaining and listening to thoughts and all the stories. Maybe we can recondition ourselves to listen to the breath. And to maybe eventually let the breath be the loudest thing that we hear. So we'll go through a couple of rounds. We'll take a deep breath in through the nose, filling up the body completely. And then you hold the breath in at the top. You hold it for the count of 1, 2, 3, 4. SH to breathe out. At the bottom of that breath, hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in through the nose, filling up the body completely, belly, ribs, heart, and crown of the head. Hold at the top for 1, 2, 3, 4. SH, breathe out. 4, 3, 2, 1. Retain at the bottom. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in through the nose. Fill up the belly, the ribs, the heart, all the way to the crown of the head. Hold the breath in for 1, 2, 3, 4. SH, breathe out. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold at the bottom. Final hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. Gentle breath in through the nose. And a gentle sigh out of the mouth. And you're welcome to stay in this space with the eyes closed, just observing maybe the clearing of the mind, the heart. We only took a couple of rounds, but you can take that square breath as many rounds as you like.
Yeah, I find your class is always very helpful for me to be recentered again, and you know, even how busy I am in the day, I always want to prioritize going to yoga classes for that reason, because in a sense I think that it may feel counterintuitive because we always feel like we don't have enough time in our day, but I feel like if we do make time and prioritize the time to help us get back to feel more recentered with ourselves, we can actually accomplish more things in our life, and not just accomplishing more things, but also just feeling happier and better.
Being a little more present in all those things that you do, which kind of bring happiness as opposed to that autopilot and I just have to go and this is my schedule.
Right.
Just being more aware makes you appreciate those interactions, for sure. Yeah, and that's the trick. That's the key, is to prioritize. Like, we do have the time. We spend a lot of time on our phones or a lot of time in our mind. Anxiety, right? Easy to just let time slip away. Yeah. But all you need is like a couple minutes to do a chant or to do a pranayama, a breath exercise, or to say, hey, I'm going to go to that yoga class for 1 hour. It's not a lot, it's just 1 hour. Then you have the rest of the day. You know, you just schedule around that because one's well-being is more important than anything.
I know. It is funny because since I started taking yoga seriously, I prioritize my yoga schedule before everything else. So my other activities has to, you know, like fit in my yoga classes.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I think another part of it is probably also to surround ourselves with people who bring positive energy to us, right? So I think that you can probably relate to what I'm sharing now, but I think energy is so important to me. And I'm also very sensitive to energy, so I can sense when I feel drained by certain energy very quickly, or when I feel recharged when I'm surrounded by certain energy.
Definitely.
And I don't know if you remember this actually, because this is the conversation we had like way back at the beginning of the time when we met first. But I'm an admirer of Briana and her voice, and I came to her, I think probably one of our first conversations when I told you that I really love your voice. And I was asking you like how you practice it. Like I was totally curious about it because, as you now know, I'm doing this, and I always had that, you know, when I started doing podcasting and vlogging, I hated my voice when I listened to it. And I didn't know how, if I couldn't hear it, like how come anyone else could bear this, you know, like I'm putting people through pain and suffering. So I had like the worst thought in my mind, so which almost made me want to stop doing it altogether. And when I talked about it with you, even though you didn't know what I was doing, and you said something to me that just made me feel so motivated to do it, because you told me that you have that velvety quality in your voice, and no one ever, like I've never thought of it that way, you know, because I never really, I think that I never felt good about it to share it with anyone, but for some reason I felt like I could open up to you, and I was curious about how you practice for yourself. But it's just that little thing, you know, and the energy that you just, you know, vibrate, that really helped me feel more calm and more confident about myself, even though you didn't know it until today when I shared with you. But these are the kind of things that, even though it seems micro, but it helps me a lot with managing my anxiety, is to have the conversations, vulnerable conversations with the people who I feel safe to share with. And it helps a lot.
Well, it's true, you know, like I wouldn't say it if it weren't true. And you know, that's another thing, you know, about the mantra meditation practice. Like, even though I've been a professional singer, there are many years where I hated listening to my own voice. Like,
Why?
I could never listen
I saw a
back
lot
to
of
a
memes.
recording. I would
Oh my
just
God.
turn it off. Like, I don't want to hear it. Like, because whatever we hear
for
is
some
perceived
reason.
completely different from what people hear.
Interesting.
Yeah. And the mantra meditation practice teaches you to appreciate your voice and to love your voice, and, you know, to a degree exercise the voice so that you become more comfortable and like, oh, hey voice, okay, you can work. Let's see what else you can do.
I love that.
Yeah. It definitely instills a bit more self-confidence, for sure. Yeah.
So
Even if it's just Om too. You don't have to just sing, you don't need to be singing a full-on mantra. Just Om as many times as you want is a way to activate your voice.
interesting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that more often now. Yeah. I think another thing is also being mindful, because since I started taking yoga, obviously I made the time. I started making the time to dedicate my time to practice yoga. But I think another thing that I find very helpful is, to your point about being present. Like, I practice to be more, practice mindfulness. So even if I'm doing things, I'm paying attention more to the moment and like what I'm doing, instead of allowing, I don't know,
Instead of
like,
thinking about other things while you're
I mean,
doing
even
it.
if I think about other things, I just let my thoughts be, and then it will gradually come back to what's in front of me, or like paying attention to the steps that I take.
Yeah.
Or when I wash the dishes, I don't, but I put them in the dishwasher. But
That's part of it. That's
yeah,
part of it.
that's part of it. I mean, I still pay
Yeah.
attention to it. Yeah, and we are going to wrap this up soon, because after
Time
this,
to teach.
yeah, I'm actually going to Briana's class after this, so we don't want to be late. But before we wrap things up, do you have any advice for your younger self, or is there anything that your younger self believe, but later on when you grow up and you feel like, oh, that's not true, don't do that? Is there anything like that comes to your mind? I'm just curious.
You gotta believe in yourself. It sounds so simple and cliche, but I feel like a lot of children kind of struggle with a lot of self-doubt, and we grow into that self-doubt.
Me.
Yeah, all of us, like, even though we're pursuing something, we're all kind of like,
Yeah.
or no, on the edge. You just gotta believe in yourself. You gotta own it.
Yeah.
Because no one else is gonna believe for you. No one's gonna believe in you for you. You gotta believe for yourself.
Yeah. And I think that when you believe in yourself, then other people will start believing in you.
There you go. Yeah.
It's beautiful. Oh, thank you, Briana.
Thank you.
It's been lovely.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank
Oh.
you.
I feel so recentered now, even though
too.
my left hand has been having like a full-on workout by holding this
Strong.
camera. Thank you everyone for joining us in this street vibe yoga class
Yes.
today. And we will talk to you guys again soon.